Over the next few weeks, the United States is going to feel many of the impacts. We're going to feel the impacts of inflation, of oil prices, the war. Everybody is going to feel this impact. Now, what I can tell you is that the United States is not alone. Much of the world is going to be impacted because of this war in Israel. But how do we overcome that? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Because right now, many lawmakers are talking about the different ways that the United States can step forward, help Israel, but at the same time, help the American people. So, today's video, we're going to address what's going on, what you should expect, especially moving forward. So, let's get started. One of the biggest things that's happening right now is that the United States is pretty much at a standstill. We cannot do much. We cannot help Ukraine. We can't help Israel. We cannot really help the American people. Why? Simply because just over a week ago, we ousted our own speaker. The Speaker of the House was gone. The reason for that? Because a group of certain Republicans decided they didn't like what he was doing. Well, here's the problem now. It says Republican divisions risk dragging out U.S. House Speaker vote. Now, this crisis in Israel injects fresh urgency into the selection process. Right now, we got two frontrunners. We got Representative Steve Scalise and also Representative Jim Jordan. Also, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, he does say that he would step forward as the Speaker once again if his conference chose him. So, This is very interesting, and I bring this up because right now we do not know who the Speaker of the House is going to be. And I talked about this just yesterday, that on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, we are going to have a vote. As of right now, there are reports that the GOP is having some kind of backroom negotiations discussing who the next Speaker of the House could potentially be. It could be one of these three people, and it will likely be one of these three people. All right? So we got Representative Jim Jordan, Representative Steve Scalise, and now Representative Kevin McCarthy. And yes, he is still one of the representatives in the House. He may not be the Speaker, but he's still one of the representatives. Now, why does all this really matter? Well, one of the biggest reasons why this matters is because without a Speaker of the House, bills can't be brought to the floor. One of the bills that needs to be brought to the floor is the government funding bill. We have until November 17th. Without that funding bill, the U.S. government would shut down. And that could be huge. That could mean just astronomical consequences for the American people, but also our military. Because keep in mind, the military is essential, which means they have to continue to work. But they don't get paid until the government reopens. So just think about this. If, let's say we have military personnel that are helping fight this war against Israel, they're not getting paid. They're putting their lives on the line, and they're not getting a paycheck in the time being. I don't think that really bodes well for the American people or for our lawmakers. Now, the next bill, outside of the government funding bill, which is actually not even prioritized today, that's like the third thing. The first thing is funding for Israel. The second thing is funding for Ukraine. Well, look at this. According to the Washington Post, it says White House considers attaching Ukraine funding to the Israel aid package. Interesting. Well, how much are they actually looking into sending to Ukraine and for Israel? Well, look at this. This is from the Wall Street Journal. It says U.S. senators support $50 to $100 billion aid package for Ukraine. That's just Ukraine. That's not even Israel. And the reason for this is because they want something what they're calling a one and done package. This is something that they will, instead of, again, President Biden initially requested $24 billion. This is 4 times that. $50 to $100 billion. According to this report, the proposed package would actually give Ukraine a sense of confidence from a political point of view. $100 billion would give anybody a lot of confidence. But that's what's being discussed right now. And again, they want to take this this $50 to $100 billion, attach it to the funding for Israel as well, because that would make it more likely that it passes. But some lawmakers say no, we should not attach funding for Ukraine to a package for Israel, because the funding for Ukraine, which we've been funding Ukraine for over a year now, if we send that money and we put it together with Israel, there's a chance Israel may not get the funding that they need. So again, it comes down to, how's this bill going to look? Are the two packages going to be combined, or will they be separate? If they're separate, funding for Israel will happen. Funding for Ukraine, well, that's up in the air. Now, again, all this stems from who is going to be the Speaker of the House. Because I can tell you right now, if we see funding for Ukraine and funding for Israel tied together, the Speaker of the House may ask that those two get separated and they be voted on separately. According to the U.S. Senate, they say that they would like to just have one bill, make it easy. They'd make a larger bill and pass that. Of course, because that would be easier. In the House of Representatives, it's not that easy. There's still a chance we do not even have a speaker as of tomorrow. Okay, so keep that in mind. And according to Speaker Kevin McCarthy, he says the conference is going to make that decision. Will he be one of the ones that is being looked at as the next Speaker of the House? And it could happen. But if he is picked for the next Speaker of the House, is he going to decide that he wants to have just one person come forward and could potentially remove him from his speakership? That's not going to happen. And in order for the new speaker to be chosen, they have to get the majority of the House of Representatives on board, which means 217 votes. That's going to be difficult. But again, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he will do whatever the conference wants. He says, I think we need to be strong. I think we need to be united. The 8, in my view, don't look to be. It was a personal thing. And the 8 that he's talking about are the 8 Republicans that decided to oust him as Speaker of the House. Now, I want to show you this video, okay? Let's watch this video really quick. I want to show you kind of what he's saying, because again, one of the worries right now is if we do not have a Speaker of the House, that means bills can't pass. That means the government funding bill can't pass. One of the biggest issues right now is the government funding bill, but it's also now coming on the heels of this war. Listen to this.
Look, this is about a moment in time. This is about what America's going to do. Could you imagine if we were sitting here and we listened further to a Gates and Mace, that we were in a shutdown? That as we asked our 30,000 men and women in the military in the Middle East to defend us without being paid, that the question around the world of what was happening here today, that's a decision by the conference. I'll allow the conference to make whatever decision. Whether I'm speaker or not, I'm a member of this body. I know what history has had, and I can lead in any position it is.
Now, he's simply saying that he can lead. He can lead as a member of the conference. He can lead as the speaker of the conference. He does not have to be the speaker. But if the conference decides that he should be the Speaker of the House, he would be open to stepping back in. But he doesn't want to be removed as easily as he was this last time. Now, that brings up the next question. What is actually going to happen? Well, this is where things get interesting. Because right now, even though we do not have a speaker, lawmakers are still talking about different ideas, talking about different proposals. Some for Social Security, some for the child care tax credit or the child tax credit payments. We're still learning about, for example, there's a lot of people that are questioning President Biden's intentions or what he's done previously. Now, here's one of them. Right now, okay, says McCarthy calls on Biden to refreeze $6 billion in Iranian funds. Now, why would they freeze money that was going to Iran? Well, this is money that was already in Iran, okay? But According to reports, this money has not been spent. However, it could easily get spent. Now, the reason why he's saying this is because we did, and we can read it right here, okay? It says right here, McCarthy took aim at the Biden administration for its prisoner swap with Iran and its decision to unfreeze $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds in exchange for the freedom of 5 wrongfully detained American citizens. He goes on to say, Biden's policy on appeasement, including money for hostage deals, must come to an end. His policy has only emboldened terrorists, and handing over $6 billion to Iran only helps the cause. In explaining that the members of Congress, they said they had provisions to refreeze the money if Iran has done something wrong. They should freeze the money back today. Now, if Iran has done anything as far as this war between the Palestinian people and Israel, the problem is the United States can't really, we could attack Iran. We could place some sanctions on them, whatever. We've done it before. But the problem is, this is where we're getting a lot of oil. And it comes down to our economy. Are we going to see President Biden place sanctions on Iran? Probably not. The United States doesn't want to. If we do, the problem is oil is going to get more expensive. We already have an issue there. So oil is going to get more expensive. Gas is going to get more expensive, which means utility prices will go up, which means food prices are going to get more expensive. Transportation costs are going up. Everything is going to get more expensive, which means we have additional inflation. Well, in just 2 days, on Thursday, we are going to have our new CPI report. It's not going to reflect what is happening right now. It's not going to reflect the issues that are taking place in Israel. It's just not, because this is from last month. So that's another issue. And again, we don't have a Speaker of the House. We can't go and put in new bills and propose new ideas and make things cheaper for the American people. Right? We need somebody in charge. We need somebody putting these bills on the floor, which is one of the reasons why it's so important how we have a Speaker of the House. And again, there's no clear favorite at this time. We don't know if it's going to be Representative Jim Jordan, Representative Steve Scalise, or potentially the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. It could be any one of those three. Now, one of the things that I've been hearing a lot of lately is, are we going to see prices go down because of this war? And the answer is no. Prices won't go down, and actually, we could see shortages of many products. Not because we get a lot of products imported from Israel. No, that's not the reason why. But things like medication, that could be in short supply. Okay? So, and I know a lot of people, especially preppers, they talk about you need water, food, ammo, things like that. And don't just hold on to the US dollar. Make sure you have some precious metals as well, just in case you need to barter. But medications are huge. Medications could be one of those things that are we see in short supply. Okay, so, and again, just keep this in mind. We get a lot of the materials, the stuff to make the medicine. Okay, we get a lot of this from China. I believe we get over 80 or over 90% of our, I think it's called an API, anyway. But we get all these, the different materials to make the medicine. We get like 90% of it from China. So keep that in mind. Because right now, the U.S. and China, even though we're doing okay, we're not best friends. And if China decides they want to invade Taiwan, which some are saying now would be the ideal time, it's not going to be great. The United States will struggle. The people will struggle. So just keep that in mind. Some are saying that right now it is time to make sure you stock up on your medicine cabinet. Make sure you have enough food. Make sure you have enough water. Make sure your stuff is prepared just in case stores start shutting down. One of the things I was told the other day, a friend of mine told me that just be aware that all the stuff that's going on around the world in Russia and Ukraine and in Israel, just keep in mind that the United States could get attacked. The United States, we could see riots, we could see, so many different things. And so, being that, I live in Washington State, here in the Seattle area, we have many, riots, and we have, people, protesting different things, make sense. So just be safe. And he simply said, just be careful. When you're in downtown Seattle, be careful. You never know. They shut down freeways all the time, especially in the Tacoma area. People just run onto the freeway, shut it down. And so that's one of the things that we're being told is just be careful if you live in or around a larger city. Just be aware that things could get worse very soon, and we really don't know when that could happen. So just wanted to fill you in on what's going on at this time. Again, a lot of stuff happening at the moment. As we get more information, I promise I'll bring you up to date on all the latest news and updates. Again, all you got to do is two things. Hit the like button on this video. Also click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. And I will see you guys on the next one.